Hey nerds, welcome to the pod. Colton's got a juicy rumor for us to break down. So Colton, I want to hear it. Take it away.
All right, guys. So this is an interesting one because this isn't like a Woj bomb rumor or anything, but this kind of juicy bit of information is coming from a pretty credible source. I think that there needs to be some kind of back history for them before I break it down and we can talk about it. But the main rumor, we've talked about this player before being floated around, is that Portland is potential suitors for Deandre Ayton. So we've talked about this player before. We've talked about Deandre Ayton before, but this is a new little bit of information that we're getting from a source that I'll break down now. There's a guy by the name on Twitter or X, whatever you prefer to call it, Twitter, X. His name's Dropping Dimes 20. You can give him a quick Google search if you want, but basically this guy was famous earlier this offseason for breaking news before anybody else, whether that's Woj, whatever. The thing with this guy is he deactivates his Twitter in between his breaking news. But like this, here's an example from something he broke in the past. It's a Damian Lillard trade request to Miami, and it was before it came out from Shams. Let me show you. So here's a screenshot of it. You can read the tweet right here. Amateur NBA analyst, as I magnify it. Miami getting that second superstar from Pacific Northwest is strong. So he tweeted that on June 30th. Damian Lillard requested his trade to Miami on July 1st. So Dropping Dimes actually had another interesting thing that was called before anybody else, and more than that. But he was basically the only one that I know of that called that James Harden would first opt in to his contract and then request a trade to the Clippers. He said that before anyone, before Woj, before Shams, anyone. The list of things he called in free agency is crazy. He called Van Vliet to the Rockets. He called Bruce Brown to the Pacers. All this before Shams and Woj. And he called, what else did he call? Let's see. He was nailing the draft, the top 10 picks in the draft. Basically, there was a lot of accounts that were coming out that were trying to mimic Dropping Dimes 20, like Dropping Dimes 50. They were trying to steal his clout. But basically what he said was he was a former agent, and that's all he's going to say, but he has connections, and he called a lot of different things that happened in the offseason. Who thought James Harden was going to opt into his deal and then request a trade? Dropping Dimes predicted it before anyone. He predicted Dame would request a trade before anyone, and he's tweeted today. This is what he tweeted today. Let me show you the proof, because people need proof, right? Proof in today's day and age. Because like I said, he deactivates his account. So some scoop I've heard, Levine will be moved eventually. Couple of key guys on the Bulls do not like playing with him. Not a winning player. Too much money owed and asking price is high is why he has not been traded yet. Portland is a potential landing spot for Ayton. So long story short, it sounds like a weird source. It really does. And I know people are probably like, okay. But if you Google it. You can look at old Reddit threads from when this guy was predicting every single thing before it happened. I mean, he deletes it, he deactivates his Twitter and then activates it to tweet and then deactivates it again because he doesn't want to get outsourced or figured out who he is. But it's a very interesting piece of information. And I'm telling you, this guy literally nailed almost every single free agency move before it happened. And people were talking about it early in the summer. Like, who is this guy? What is he doing? Now he says Portland is a suitor for Deandre Ayton, potential landing spot. So what do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of everything I just said?
That tweet is funny how it's all about Levine, and then just the last sentence, a little tag on. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, Ayton to the Blazers.
I mean, yeah, he said some scoops. He left them plural.
Yeah, I'm just going to call him Nostradamus because apparently that's what he's been doing the last few years.
Jeez.
I mean, when you said his name, I started to Google him. I only got the first like 6 letters out, and it came up as an autocomplete. So like, it is a thing. I understand that. It's interesting. It's very interesting. We've talked a lot on this pod about how it just feels like Ayton's not a long-term fit in Phoenix. Maybe to me especially. I've just had this feeling for a long time that I mean, it's not like out of nowhere. I mean, he's gotten into, straight up screaming matches with coaches and doesn't seem like he wants to play sometimes. And then the team gets radically changed around him to where now he's like a fourth or fifth option on that team. The thing that is a little strange is, I mean, they would probably have to be some kind of a 3-team deal, right? To still land Dame in Miami, most likely, because him going to Phoenix doesn't really make any sense, I wouldn't think. But if that's the asset that's going to make the thing happen, it's possible. And obviously we'd have to get rid of Nurk in the trade, which is kind of the plan anyway. And his timeline would match up a little closer with Shaden and Scoot. So
it doesn't mention that it's like going to be in the Lillard trade for sure.
Exactly.
It could be Simons or somebody else, peripheral move alongside the Dame trade.
Yeah, Kirby, you're right. It doesn't have to be a part of the Dame trade. Reddit is a place where a lot of people speculate and a lot of these rumors get, put together and whatever. But Reddit was kind of saying that too. It might be a part of another trade, or it could be lumped in if the Dame trade is multiple, 4 teams. It could be a part of like a separate part of the deal. But I love the fit on the young core, Ayton coming in. Scoot needs an outlet, a release valve. He would be a great asset in the pick and roll. He's mobile, good defender, young. And guess what? His contract wouldn't really hurt us right now in this form of where the Blazers roster's at. We talked before when we're adding, like talking about adding Ayton to Dame led team. The contract was a bit of an issue. Now you got Scoot and Shaden on rookie deals. Contract isn't as big of a problem. So
I was going to ask both of you this question, but you sort of just answered it yourself. So I'll just ask Kirby, do you think that Ayton is the piece to pair with Shaden and Scoot long term? Like, is that the big 3 that we want to go in on, as a unit that could potentially lead the team into the future?
I like him as an intermediate piece to like help those guys grow, be a pick and roll partner, get some size down there because Blazers don't have any size. I don't know if he's going to be the one that takes them over the top. I could kind of see him being more of a fit for the next few years potentially. But if they want to make that next step and really compete, I don't know if he's going to be that guy. His skill set and the type of basketball that he plays, it sort of seems like it's a bit dated in today's NBA. He's already gotten eaten alive by, the best players in the world, the big guys right now who are the best players in the world, Embiid and Joker and those sorts of guys. So I don't really think he matches up very well with those. Probably better than Nurkic, but so I would like it as an intermediate step depending on what the Blazers had to give up. If it was part of the Dame trade, I'd probably be interested. If moving Simons or someone like that, depending on maybe other assets that we get back with it, I'd be interested just to balance the roster, get some of the talent and the contract away from the guard positions and try to get a big to pair with Scoot and Shaden.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he definitely would be a step up from Nurk, at least, and if that is part of getting rid of Dame or Anthony, then I guess I'd probably feel better about it if all we had to do is get rid of Nurk and Anthony, and then we got a lot more for Dame. Because, yeah, I don't really see it necessarily as like our center of the future situation. It does feel a little bit more intermediary while we figure things out. Now, he would be probably a pretty fun player for Dame or for Scoot and Shaden to play with for a while. He's got a little bit more of a veteran presence. Hopefully he's got like, good locker room mentality coming in if something like that happened. He makes me a little nervous because it just seems like his drama kind of follows him a little bit, but maybe he just needs a fresh start. That does happen. So yeah, I'd probably do it. I would just hope that it doesn't like poison the well with all these new young players, and hopefully we can get some size around them that really closely matches their age soon.
I disagree with you guys. I think that he could be the long-term center. I think that, it's okay if he's a couple years older. He's still young. Centers grow slower than everybody else. Ayton's been a part of a winning team before. He's been a key cog, the third best player on, or the third option, I guess, on, a team that was 2 wins away from a title. So it's not like he can't do it. And if he improves at all, and he's on it, gets a new start, fresh team, new teammates that are like building him up rather than knocking him down, which is seemingly what he's been a part of, along with his old coach, Monty Williams. He could grow into that piece that he's already shown he's good in the past. So I think he could be the long-term guy. And then you have to figure out the 2 wing spots, but that's okay. If we come out of the Dame trade saga with a cornerstone center and we get picks and maybe like fill in forwards until we can find one forward, now we're cooking, because who knows what happens from there. But I really think it's a move the Blazers should make. I think doesn't really harm you at all with this contract right now. Young guy, healthy, fits the timeline, all that. And look at the alternatives. Look at the major pieces from the Heat. I mean, I think I'd rather take Ayton as the major piece coming back rather than any of those other major pieces on the Heat. And if you can get picks as well, after all this Dame trade stuff goes through, then you can fill in the rest of the roster with more assets. So I think it's a cool, interesting rumor. Who knows if dropping dimes has really got the NBA script that he's leaking, but I'm telling you, the guy has said a lot of stuff accurately earlier in the offseason. So definitely something to keep an eye on, especially during this time of year when there's nothing else to chew on.
Ayton is the only like young big guy that's available that I can even think of. The rest of them, anybody else who's even been rumored to be involved in the Dame trade are all guards or worse than that. So yeah, I would probably take it as the main piece back for Dame. Not really because that's what I'd want, but that's because it's the best you could hope for at this point of the saga that is the Damian Lillard trade request.
Yeah. For that reason, I'd probably do it as well. I'd want to make sure that, and I mean, obviously people in much higher positions than us are making these decisions, but we got to try to get as much value as we can for Dame while we have him. And, it's like this Dame, Nurk, Anthony, like that's kind of a lot of pieces that we're trying to move, honestly, like pretty big contracts and big players. And, we have to make sure that we get a lot of value back. Like we can't just be getting Ayton in seconds for, all that talent, but, we'll see what kind of package comes around. And if it happens, it would be exciting. It would be a big change up. And it would be something for the poor Portland Trailblazers marketing department to sell on season ticket packages.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, not to undermine the whole point you're making in the video, but it is funny how desperate we are for news that we're taking a point from a guy that's a Twitter anon, and his point is potential landing spot. It's not even like he's guaranteeing it. He's not even saying it's going to happen. He's just saying this. He just put a name with the team as a potential landing spot. And we're sojourning through the desert here, desperate for any oasis of NBA news right now. This is kind of humorous.
It is. But I mean, when you get name dropped, when you're the one team that gets name dropped, and
at the end of a Levine news tweet.
I know, but I'm telling you, man, do some research on the guy. And everyone out there, like I said, it sounds kind of a weird source, but the guy was nailing it at the beginning of free agency. Crazy. Like I said, he called the trade request to Miami before anyone, the day or two before. The Harden opt-in. Who guesses that? Who
Hold up just a second.
guesses that?
Just dropped a dime. Was that worth it?
You're oftentimes okay. You had me
Nostr-
concerned. I thought there were some technical difficulties.
We've already been through
Nostradamus,
that
if
in
you
this
want to
video.
come
This
on
is
our
a-
podcast to unmask yourself, we'll allow it.
Totally.
Give you
Feel
an
free to
episode.
drop any new dime bombs. Should we call them dime bombs instead of Woj? And we'll see what happens from there. But still interesting to talk about it. I know we've talked about Ayton in the past, but it's better than the usual woe is me, when will Dame get traded talk, because that could go on forever at this point. Do we have any kind of a, are you guys getting tired of the Dame thing just hovering over us yet? Because I am. I just do something, or
At least it's August, you know. It doesn't really matter right now in July and August for this to be hovering over the team. It's gonna start to matter a lot more in the next month or so. If they don't get something done, then it's gonna start to hover over the team and the young guys on the team and the ticket sales and all that kind of stuff. But either way, I'm excited for next season. I'm going to continue to preach optimism. I told Riley a few days ago, if this is going to sound a little bit controversial, but if we had the same team going into this season, Dame on the team, another play-in ceiling, I would be incredibly bored right now with the NBA season. But with the rebuild project as it stands with Scoot Henderson and Shaden Sharp, I'm still excited. I'm excited for next season. I think more so than I have been in a while for a Blazers season, just because I really don't know what to expect from those guys. We posted a poll 6 days ago. How many games will the Blazers win next season? After Bleacher Report predicted 14 wins. 0% of our audience, we had 40 votes, 0% of our audience said 10 to 15 wins. So they disagreed with Bleacher Report like us. The top answer, 50% said in between 25 and 35 wins.
Probably accurate.
33% said 15 to 25. 10% said 45 plus. I like those optimistic Blazers fans. Let's go. And 8% said 35 to 45 wins. So I think our viewers and those Blazer fans out there, they have optimism for this young team too, that they're going to be a lot better than the national media, is making them out to be this season.
Yeah, I kind of go back and forth on how tired I am of the whole Dame saga, because definitely it does feel sometimes like, come on, let's just get it over with. Let's figure this out. I'd love to know what our team's gonna look like, going into the season. And again, it must just be because I'm a marketing major, but how do you sell this team right now? It sounds like a nightmare.
Dude.
But at the same time, when I hear things like, Joe Cronin basically coming out and saying like, no, we've made no progress with Miami and we don't expect to because they have no assets we want. I'm like, yes, thank you. That's what a G, that's what we want to see is him
fight, Joe, fight,
yeah.
Joe, fight.
Stand firm. Don't get pushed around by freaking Pat Riley. And that's,
and Dame.
It is, yeah, and Dame and his ridiculous agent who should probably be barred from the league at this point. But in any case, it's good to see that at least we have someone at the helm who's willing to stand up for the team, and not just get pushed around. So that's good. And in that way, I'm willing to wait as long as he is, gotta give him that support.
Was it you? I can't remember if it was you, Kirby. You were saying that you could see the Blazers being just as good, if not better, this season.
It's not a high bar to clear.
And the more I think about it, I mean, yes, we don't know the rest of the roster. We don't know the forward situation. We don't know the center situation. But really, you're right. It's not a high bar to clear. We were tanking. We were having to pull guys out. Shaden was getting pulled out of a game because he was too good by himself. He was winning games by himself. And I mean, you could be right. Depending on the assets that we get back, we're not going to be actively throwing games, most likely, through most of the year. And I think Scoot's going to come in gangbusters, like I've said 1,000 times on this pod. It could be. It could very well be. I mean, Jeremy's there. If we get a passable center, what if it is Ayton? Let's say we end up getting Ayton and we have Jeremy Grant still, and we got Scoot. Let's say Ant goes out in the deal. Scoot, Shaden, pick your poison at small forward. Jeremy Grant and Ayton.
Hopefully,
that's a better lineup.
Hopefully, one or two other young guys coming back too from the Dame trade.
Yeah,
to add in there.
Not a better lineup than, I guess, a Dame-led lineup in terms of what it looks like on paper, but you won't be tanking. So I don't know. I'm interested, and let's see what happens. I'm not saying Ayton is locked in and confirmed, but there's moves out there that we can still make that will solidify the roster. Let's see what Joe cooks up. I know he's cooking right now. He actually is probably on vacation right now, but when he comes back in September, he's going to be cooking. Cooking Joe. I believe in you.
Is that his new nickname, Cooking Joe?
Cooking Joe.
Enjoy your vacation, Joe. You deserve it.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to our desperate attempt to try to have some Blazers news.
Dropping dimes.
Optimistic Blazers news. Thanks for watching, guys.
Bye.